Are you looking for the best programming laptops? In this video we will look at some of the 5 best programming laptops on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description. So make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Starting at number 1, MacBook Pro 16-inch. Apple's MacBook Pro. If ever there was a staple of software development in recent years, it's this. You see MacBook Pros everywhere at developer events, even those presented by Google and Microsoft. Why is that? Because it's the perfect tool for the job. And with the advent of the M1 and M2 series of processors, Apple has made it even harder to recommend a competitor. It's not just about looking fancy in Starbucks while you work. The MacBook Pro was a top laptop for writing code, just as it's one of the best creator laptops, before the M1 processors ever arrived. But Apple's jump to using ARM power in its Mac hardware has made for significant gains. It delivers incredible CPU performance, strong GPU performance, and exceptional power efficiency, which in turn leads to fantastic battery life. More importantly, Apple doesn't suffer from the same compatibility woes with legacy software as you might find on a Windows laptop powered by ARM. Perhaps the only real negatives to basing your programming on a 16-inch MacBook Pro are the price and lack of upgradability. What you buy from Apple is pretty much what you're living with, but conversely, you have options to spec this up to the powerhouse of your dreams. If you have the budget, you can get up to 8 TB of SSD storage and 32 GB or 64 GB of unified memory, depending on whether you go for the M1 Pro or the M1 Max. Both offer a 10-core CPU, but the M1 Max has double the GPU cores and memory bandwidth. The MacBook Pro comes in 2 sizes, but for programming we recommend the 16-inch model over the 14-inch model purely for that additional screen real estate. The laptop doesn't have that much larger of a footprint than the 14-inch model for what you gain in usability. It has a liquid Retina XDR panel in both instances, and both have the same superb ProMotion variable refresh rate up to 120 Hz. And that additional little bit of size and pound in weight nets you up to 4 hours of extra battery life. You'll be able to leave home for the day without a charger, safe in the knowledge you'll still have power left when it's time to call it a day. Apple's move to ARM didn't sacrifice its commitment to Thunderbolt connectivity, either. The MacBook Pro 16-inch comes with 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports, joined by HDMI, a full-sized SD card slot, and even a headphone jack. Thunderbolt 4 is perfect for expanding connectivity with powerful docking stations and also hooking up external high-resolution displays, perfect for the home or office. There's also the small matter of macOS to consider, and it's perhaps even more important than the hardware for software development. macOS has traditionally been welcoming to software development, sitting in a happy middle ground between Linux and Windows. Of course, if you want to develop for the Mac or for iOS devices, you need a Mac, which sucks, but it's also the only platform that allows you to build for macOS, Linux, and Windows simultaneously, as well as Android on the mobile front. If you want to target all platforms, you'll want a MacBook Pro 16-inch. Number 2. Dell XPS 13 Plus, 9320. When writing code on a laptop, a large display is definitely a benefit, but there will be plenty of people out there who just don't want a large laptop. Fortunately, the Dell XPS 13 Plus, 9320, exists to offer everything a compact laptop enthusiast could want. This is, after all, a continuation of the laptop that pioneered squeezing a 13-inch display into an 11-inch chassis. To this day it's still one of the best 13-inch laptop you can get. The all-new XPS 13 Plus that debuted at CES 2022 is here with Intel's 12th gen processors and a unique design that integrates a haptic touchpad into the seamless palm rest. In his Dell XPS 13 Plus review, Editor-in-Chief Rich Woods noted that using the Dell XPS 13 Plus feels like living in the future. The XPS 13 Plus doesn't come with dedicated graphics in any configuration but does have Intel Iris Xe available on all models. Likewise, All configurations come with PCI SSDs, and while Dell tops out at 2 TB, the SSD can be upgraded at any time if you need more storage. The RAM isn't upgradable, but you can get 32 GB inside if you wish, which should be plenty. The display, despite being only 13.3 inches, is glorious on the XPS 13 Plus. You can get an FHD Plus panel if you wish, or you can go big with a 3.5K OLED or a UHD Plus IPS touch. Resolution and color accuracy aren't necessarily the most important factors in a laptop for writing code, but why not make it as pleasant to look at as possible? There's plenty to be said for getting a high-resolution display to look at text all day. Everything is just crisper and clearer, despite its diminutive size. The XPS 13 does not miss out on the connectivity front. Any accessories you might want to hook up, including external displays, can be over one of the 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports. With a good dock, you can turn this tiny laptop into a full desktop, or even hook up an IGPU to get the ultimate performance. You can't really take one of those on the road with you, but if your work requires a powerful GPU at any time, you at least have the option when you're at a desk. Angled front view of the Dell XPS 13 Plus laptop facing right. Dell XPS 13 Plus. Number 3. HP Pavilion Aero 13. Programming can be a resource-intensive task and professionals will certainly want the absolute most they can get their hands on. But that same sentiment should apply whatever the budget, and especially if you're just starting out, you don't want to be throwing thousands at a laptop that's probably overkill for your needs. Enter the HP Pavilion Aero 13, a laptop that proves beyond doubt that buying on a tighter budget doesn't have to mean too many compromises. Editor-in-Chief Rich Woods said in his HP Pavilion Aero 13 review that hands down, it's the best you can get for the price. Part of the serious bang for the buck you get from this laptop is down to AMD. Generally speaking, AMD-powered laptops are still priced lower than Intel-powered alternatives. That used to come with some performance sacrifices, but the more recent laptop Ryzen processors have been superb. The Pavilion Aero 13 packs Ryzen 5 or Ryzen 7 5000 series chip in a couple of different specs. One is a 6-core, 12-thread version, the other has 8 cores and 16 threads. That's extremely impressive from a mid-range laptop and packs a serious multi-core performance punch to be exploited. AMD's integrated graphics are no slouch, either. Even the base model of the HP Pavilion Aero 13 is a really capable laptop and there are a few options you can choose from. You can get it with either 8GB or 16GB of RAM and up to 1TB of SSD storage, with 256GB being the entry point. Even the display isn't very budget-like, with a 16:10 aspect ratio for increased vertical space. And you're not stuck with some horrid low resolution, either. You can get it as a 1920 by 1200 panel or a delightfully crisp 2560 by 1600. Laptops much more expensive than this don't come as well equipped. They also don't come as well made in some cases. The HP Pavilion Aero 13 is extremely light, but it doesn't use plastic. Instead, the chassis is magnesium, so you get premium materials and build without the heft in your bag, as well as being strong enough to take some heavy use. As you might expect, it's also pretty slim at just 17mm, so it really does tick all the boxes. It's well equipped on the outside, too, which is essential for the on-the-go programmer. After all, you never know when you're going to need to hook up an external display or a drive or other miscellaneous accessories. The only thing you don't get is Thunderbolt 4, which is to be expected on an AMD-powered laptop. You do have USB-A and USB-C, though, as well as HDMI 2.0, a headphone jack, and even a Windows Hello-friendly fingerprint scanner. Number 4. Microsoft Surface Pro 9. Generally speaking, most programmers won't be looking for a tablet for their work. However, the Microsoft Surface Pro 9 is no ordinary tablet. The Surface Pro defined the 2-inch-1 category and to this day continues to set the bar. The Surface Pro 8 was the biggest update in some years, bringing with it not only a revamped design but the kind of performance inside that once we could only dream of seeing in a device without a keyboard. The Surface Pro 9 is a continuation of this design, and now comes in both Intel and Qualcomm variants, with the latter also boasting 5G connectivity. The biggest drawback remains the same, though. Microsoft still doesn't bundle the keyboard with the Surface Pro 9, so it's an essential extra purchase. The Surface Pro 9 is still the one to get if you're looking for a highly portable 2-inch-1 machine. For starters, the display truly is the best ever on a Surface Pro. It's now 13 inches, but still has that 3:2 aspect ratio that's perfect for code writing with its increased vertical space. Both versions of the Surface Pro 9 also have a 120 Hz refresh rate, so everything is silky smooth. Once you see it, you can't go back to a 60 Hz panel. Internal hardware is just as impressive. Microsoft managed to squeeze up to a 12th General Intel Core i7-1265U inside the Surface Pro 9, which for a tablet is no small feat. This is paired with up to 32 GB of RAM, 16 GB on the Qualcomm version, and up to 1 TB of PCIe SSD storage, which is also removable. The onboard graphics are okay with Intel iRisks in play, but Microsoft finally added Thunderbolt to the Surface Pro 9. This 13-inch tablet can sit hooked up to a dock or an IGPU and truly be your everything machine at home and on the road. The Qualcomm version is limited to the Adreno 8CX Gen 3 graphics. It's not cheap, but then Surface Pro has never been about affordability. It's about setting the bar, and the Surface Pro 9 continues to do that. It's more portable than basically any laptop on the market while being just as powerful, and Microsoft even put the buttons back on the top where they belong, so it's easier to live with every day. Number 5. Razer Blade 14. Razer Blade 14 with red and green background lighting. Sometimes you just want as much horsepower as you can possibly get inside a laptop. That's as true for programming as it is for gaming. When it comes to balancing raw performance with being portable and just good to use, the Razer Blade 14 ticks all the boxes. It set a new performance standard for 14-inch laptops when it launched, and to this day it's almost untouchable in its class, in no small part down to having the option for a ridiculously powerful RTX 3080 laptop GPU inside. The RTX 3080 would normally only be found in much larger gaming laptops, but through wizardry and a little clever design, Razer managed to cram one inside a 14-inch Razer Blade. It gets warm when pushed, but not dangerously hot thanks to innovative cooling, and it's quite literally all the GPU power you could need in a laptop, whether for professional purposes or smashing out some high-quality gaming when you're done for the day. The Blade 14 is also the first Razer laptop to use an AMD Ryzen processor, and as you might expect, it goes for the top of the tree. Specifically, you get the 8-core, 16-thread Ryzen 9 6900HX paired with 16 GB of RAM and a 1 TB SSD. As far as 14-inch laptops go, it can't be beaten, and even the display is impressive with both a 1440p resolution and a 165 Hz refresh rate, as well as a 1080p 144 Hz panel available. All this power does mean that battery life takes a hit, but then, you would expect such a thing buying a laptop with this kind of GPU inside. This is the trade-off for having something absurdly powerful. Perhaps if you're diving into the world of CUDA or machine learning. NVIDIA also offers its professional studio drivers in place of the gaming-focused GeForce drivers, which might be more useful to you. And of course, if you go ahead and put Linux on one of these, you'll be able to take advantage of GPU pass-through to any Windows VMs you set up. Razer is often thought of like the Apple of the Windows world. It's a fair comparison. Razer isn't known for sitting still and is constantly trying to push the boundaries of what's possible in its hardware. It also listens to its customers, many of whom had been asking for a Ryzen-powered laptop for a good while. It isn't cheap, but if you're in the market for something with truly mind-blowing power in a small form factor, this is the one.